time to get radical.
Welcome to UFO Buster Radio. This is episode 68. And this episode, we have a special interview with Kyle from UFO Proof. And UFO Proof is a YouTube channel. And before you head over to UFO Proof, if you haven't already, I really want you to listen to this interview and really see how genuine Kyle is. But before we get there, I ran across a news story, and thanks to the people at Open Minds TV, we actually have a UFO Researcher of the Year. To be honest, I didn't even know such an award existed. But apparently at the 2017 International UFO Conference, there was an award given to no one other than the dude that's been sucking up the UFO news, Tom Delonge, former Blink-182 guy turned UFO Researcher of the Year. So the man that runs the secret machine and has been in the news the whole time that we had these WikiLeaks emails, this information being leaked by the quote-unquote Russians, emails from John Podesta that included conversations with Mr. Delonge and his access to military personnel who apparently knew the truth and wanted to share the truth. Well, I guess all of this has earned Mr. Delonge the UFO Researcher of the Year, and I'm not really sure, besides all the drama from the leaked emails, I'm not really sure what he did for this. You probably just had to be there. You kind of had to be at the UFO conference, the UFO Congress, in order to figure out what the heck was the qualifications for this. Because I can tell you right now, there's plenty of people out there who have been doing this for years. Years and years and years. And they didn't get an award for it. There's folks out there who have been doing this for such a long time. There's people who have experienced UFOs firsthand, year after year after year, and no one gave them an award. There's guys out there who have laid out in the grass, in the field, overnight, in the cold, waiting, searching, looking. No awards there, but you bring the old ex-Blink-182 guy, the hip guy, and so he gets an award. So I do have a link to an article that was posted maybe 24 hours ago. And of course, this goes back to when he first came on the scene as part of a 2015 article, an interview where he first accused the government of tapping into phones and keeping information about extraterrestrials for themselves. Well, I'm sorry. I didn't read the book, so I don't know what the big hype is. If anything, he should be thanking the Russians, Hillary Clinton, and John Podesta for not knowing how to set up a real password for this award, and I hope in his acceptance speech he mentioned them. I guess we'll just have to see what exactly the UFO Researcher of the Year brings next year. because from my perspective, once the election ended, so did his ability to influence ufology. But maybe he has more up his sleeve. So check it out. Check out your UFO Researcher of the Year. I'm sure some of you will enjoy it. I'm just puzzled. I'm just worried. I'm worried for ufology. But on the flip side, next up we do have Kyle. And like I said earlier, you want to listen to how genuine he is in his experiences and how it impacted his life. So here we go. All right, guys, this is the interview you guys have been waiting for. In the last episode, I regarded to this individual as the Morton Downey Jr. of ufology, because if you get on his YouTube channel and you bring a lot of noise and fake information, he will challenge you. On top of that, he has no problem challenging others on YouTube and any other medium that bring fake stories to ufology. And without further ado, I want to introduce everyone to the pronosticator, the face behind UFO Proof, Kyle. Kyle, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Manny. Good to be here, man.
Hey, listen, I got to say one thing before we even get this interview started, because I was looking around YouTube before I got on here, and there was Kyle live.
Yes, there was. Absolutely.
And let me tell you, if I was doing an interview with anybody was interviewing me, I'd be pacing around, just going nuts trying to figure out what I'm going to say. But you're like a media mogul when it comes to YouTube.
Well, I mean, so I've been in entertainment for years, and I was also a stand-up comedian for years. So being on, doing interviews or being in on someone else's show or, on stage. If you can go on stage and you can make a crowd laugh, I mean, you can do it on a, video or, a phone call or whatever, no problem. And so it's not really, it's not like a shock to me or anything. It's, it's a lot of fun. And I have a lot of fun doing it, and, it just, makes me feel good. So it's like, it's nothing. Doesn't make me nervous. I know a lot of people get nervous, but the only thing that does is I'm like, just take it forever. I want to hurry up and get to the time so I can do it,
Exactly. I feel your pain in that case. Now, the reason I started following you on YouTube, and I am one of your followers, is because of the attitude that you take when it comes to UFOs and ufology. You really don't like the nonsense, do you? No,
not at all. And I mean, it's upsetting to deal with when there's a reality behind the phenomenon. I mean, it's like real on a real level, like as real as your car in your driveway. They're real. And so when you have all these hoaxers and stuff and people putting out crap BS information, it doesn't do anything for them. What it does is it hurts us, and it hurts the people who've had real UFO experiences, and it destroys our credibility, and it makes me angry. There's no other way to put it. It literally frustrates me every time I see it, because I'm not as stupid as these people. You're not as stupid as these people, yet they try to group us all together. And it's like they need to get out of our community, and because it belongs to people with a brain. I mean, you got all these people who come in and you're watching a YouTube video. It's got some computer voice on it, making up some crap story, or some of these other big YouTube channels, and they get viewers and attention for lying to people. I mean, and it's just so disheartening and upsetting to me. So, and no one was saying it like it was. No one was saying that, there was no UFO believer who was out there debunking, like there's no one who was, supporting it and debunking and standing up for us and saying, hey, someone has to fight for us and say, no, it can't be like this. It has to be, it can't be that way. We can't allow it to happen. Even if we feel like, well, I want to say, be nice to them because, I have an open mind. But it's like there comes a point where you have to say that enough is enough, and we have to fight for what the truth is, and we have to have honor and integrity, and that's what matters.
Absolutely. And you know what some of these guys don't understand is that they actually feed into that negative ridicule that the real experiences have to go through.
Absolutely. That's like the main issue with everything is that, they help, propagate this, notion that all UFO experiencers are crazy, and and all it does is make it worse and worse, and it will continue. It's going to scare people away from the reality away from trying to study the subject. That's all I want. Just take a look at it in a scientific view and say, what's the reality of the situation? And it will scare people away from it when you have all these crazies out there making us look insane.
Okay, and looking at your YouTube channel, in your videos, you actually shared with me recently a video that kind of gave the backstory of where things really originated for you when it came to ufology and I guess eventually your venture into YouTube. So maybe if you could share some of that, your experience back in 2010.
Sure, not a problem. So I had my very, very first sighting. It was in 2010, December 27th at 6:45 in the morning. But the story that Manny is referring to happened July 3rd, 2011, and it was about 5:45 in the afternoon. Now, I was living in Indiana at the time, in Maryville, and since I'd had my experience prior back in December, I had been seeing UFOs and having like these incredible encounters, and I had built a UFO hunting platform on my roof, and I had all kinds of equipment with me, night vision and binoculars and cameras and stuff like that, and high-powered lasers. And I'm sitting up on top of my roof, and I was out there basically just to watch fireworks and, UFO hunt later on or something, because people still light off fireworks even though it's only July 3rd. They do it like the whole weekend before. So I'm out there, so it's still daylight and everything. And I'm just kind of like, looking around, and out of nothing, out of pure vapor, this black sphere came out of nothing. It looked like it came through a wall. Like it was the most insane thing I'd ever seen. But it happened right in front of me. It was probably, I'm sitting on the platform, so I'm like sitting like Indian style. And if I would have stood up, I could have touched it. Like it was only about 8 feet above my head. So, it was incredibly close. It was probably about 4 feet in diameter, completely gunmetal black sphere. And it had this little line running around the center of it. And then it had lines going from the bottom up to the center line. Like if you're looking at like a basketball turned sideways or a pumpkin or something. But it was perfectly spherical. It was totally round. And it floated over top of me, and it just stopped in one spot and just started spinning. And I was like shocked at what I was seeing, but I don't know why. I just kind of reacted to it. And I had the laser in my hand, and I hit it with the laser. And the instant I hit it with the laser, all the thoughts in my head echoed. Like, so all just the thoughts that you're thinking, like, you have like 7 or 10 thoughts in your head at one time. They all were like, bah, and they all like echoed. And I couldn't understand. Everything seemed to vibrate like in my mind. Like it's so hard to describe, and just by saying echoing, that's the closest thing I can, say to describe. But it's beyond explanation what it did to my mind, like how it made my mind feel. And it freaked me out, and I was like, oh man. And I let go of the laser, and it stopped, and it stood there and started spinning for like 10 more seconds. And then it started floating away very slowly off to the side, and it went over this tree, and I'm like, oh my God, I couldn't believe what I'd seen. So I jump off my roof, I run back into the house, I go and I tell my twin sister and my brother-in-law that that there was a UFO probe outside. I started screaming, the probe is back, because I had seen other UFOs before. And my brother-in-law said, he's like, I want to see it. And I'm like, all right, well, I'm like, it's probably gone by now, but it might be out in the sky somewhere off in the distance. We can go and take a look. He didn't care. He was dying to see. He was literally in his boxers at the time, like laying down. And we, run outside, or we get out the front door. And as soon as we open up the door, it's sitting in my driveway, just spinning like 4 feet off the ground. And my brother was like, oh my God, it shocked both of us. Both of us were like, oh, holy crap. And then I started to I wanted to just get close to it. I don't know why. Like it scared me, but like I wanted to just like, I wanted to give it a hug. I don't know. I was like, I just wanted to go up to it. And as I started getting closer, I felt like some kind of, it felt like a force was like holding me back, like preventing me from getting closer. And then I realized it was actually my brother-in-law holding the back of my shirt, like pulling my shirt really tight, like, whoa, stop. Like he was not wanting me to go up to it. And then, I was like, dude, it's okay. And I start like, trying to make my way to it. And as I took a step towards it, it moved like a step away from me. Like, you get what I'm saying? If I took 2 steps towards it, it would move 2 steps away. But if I stopped,
keeping his distance from you, huh?
Correct. But like perfect distance. Like, so when I stopped, it stopped. And it maintained this total distance, whatever it was, maybe like 20 feet. It maintained this distance from me until I started like running at it. And then it went into the street and started floating away at like a 30-degree angle, just started floating up. And there were people out on the street lighting off fireworks who didn't even see it. They weren't even noticing it until one of the neighbor's kids was like yelling really loudly about asking her dad, why is that man in his boxers? And then our neighbor was like, hey, Dan, what are you doing? And we're like, look. And then he looked down the road and he could see the UFO just floating up. And he's like, like it was amazing. I mean, it was, it nailed it down for me that the experiences I was having were in fact real 100%. That, because at the time, you got to understand, before all this, I was just a skeptic about everything. And so when this happened, it was like, it verified that my thoughts on, well, is it possible that these, the stories are true about what people say about UFOs and stuff, and maybe it's real. And I'd had a couple sightings and had some incredible experiences before, but I still questioned them up until that point. And then I knew 100% that this is the real deal, that it's true, that the people who were telling these stories weren't lying. They were telling the truth, that the phenomenon actually exists. Like it actually really, really exists. I was like, it blew my mind. And so that kind of led to, what I do now. But that was really just the tipping point of everything.
So Kyle, when individuals have experiences like this, it becomes like a life-changing experience. I mean, you kind of see everything differently. So what did that do for you in your life and your perspective?
It kind of messed it up at first. Like it was a little too much because, and I really feel that this is one of our issues in ufology for people who have UFO experiences. And one of the bad things that comes along with having a UFO encounter is this phenomenon of people going off the deep end, of going crazy. And right. I think that, attributes a lot to why people call UFO people crazy and stuff, because of this effect that happens. But what happens is, like, when you see it and you know for a fact, okay, this is the real deal, all of a sudden your mind is open to the possibility of all other things. You're like, okay, so this is, maybe that's real, maybe this is real, whatever. And next thing you know, you're looking at planes and calling them UFOs, or you're looking at balloons and calling them UFOs. And everything is all of a sudden is a UFO. And now you see trees have alien faces in it. And I mean, you totally go off the deep end. And if you don't hold yourself back and accept the fact that, okay, you are wrong about this, but that doesn't mean you're wrong about these other experiences. But these experiences, you have to be able to decipher what's true and what's not. And you have to be able to admit to yourself when you are wrong and when you don't know something. And that's the hardest thing to do. I mean, people will fight for what they believe in. And especially when it comes to yourself, it's so easy to deny it to yourself. And that was the hardest thing, was to pull myself back. And when I did, I mean, it really changed everything. It really opened my eyes, and I knew something had to be done. Like I knew what was happening, like, the experiences I had and what other people are having. And this is like the culmination of all that stuff together. So that's eventually what happened to me. It changed me for, it changed me for the better. It made such a huge impact on my life. And I mean, I'm not going to lie. I really feel like it made me smarter, in a sense that, giving me before, when I was just purely skeptical about everything, I was in fact wrong. And so it's like, and now combining the two worlds is really interesting, but it was really difficult. You got to understand, Manny, I was a straight up skeptic, not like, I would have debunked everyone was fruitcakes or whatever. I was a straight up skeptic for real. And so having this experience really, really affected me, on a deep level. Like, so, I mean, it was hard, but it is what it is now. So now it's gone on. Now it's gone crazy.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I've heard a lot of people say that once they have that experience, they become, as you were saying, hypersensitive.
Yeah.
So everything becomes part of that experience, And
absolutely.
One of the things that I also hear is that individuals that have that experience, let's say, 2 or 3 times a year, may have a generational connection to where other people in their lineage also had experiences. Have you ever investigated that in your family history?
Yes, actually I have. And it's interesting because when these experiences started happening, I told my family about it or whatever, and told my parents, like I was saying, and then my mom also had sightings of UFOs when she was a kid and even when she was an adult. And she was explaining, we got together and she was telling them to me or whatever. And my sister has also seen, my twin sister has, sightings and experiences as well, but not as many or as, as reoccurring as mine were, or as close as mine were. But her experiences started happening after mine, but they in fact did happen too. So, and it was, that's even hard to accept too. Like, there's so many things when it happens, it was really hard for me to accept. And because there's so many people who, they say stuff, but then that seems legitimate, but then they say crazy stuff that's so insane that you're like, that just ruins the credibility of your other stories, But right. I assume that, well, for the most part, I guess there's probably some kind of a truth to it. I don't know if, I don't know what it is. My dad never had any experiences or anything, so I don't know. But my mom, she's seen UFOs and so did my twin sister. So I guess there's got to be some kind of truth to that.
Yeah, and I actually I've come across people who've had that experience, and it wasn't until they actually went back in history and looked at, let's say, a great uncle who was placed in a sanitarium, that the reason why he was placed in there because he was saying that he was seeing things like UFOs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But because back then there was no such thing as a UFO, no one really talked about it. So the answer was, well, he's crazy. Let's just stick him in a nut house and be done with it.
It'd be so easy to do that to people too. I could imagine it because if it was me and that happened back then, they would have dropped me in a loony bin a long time ago. I mean, it makes people like, you're trying to describe it, and it's what's really upsetting is that when you have your experience to where you're like, okay, UFOs are real, the phenomenon is real. When that happens, it's another thing that's upsetting because you just assume by the time you get home, everyone else on Earth will know that UFOs are real. Like, it's a weird sensation where you're like, okay, well, now that I know, well, it's real. So you just assume that, then that's it. That's the answer. So everyone's just going to know. And, but that's not the truth. The truth is you're going to look crazy no matter what you say. And you're just kind of stuck with this secret that you want to share with people, but no one wants to listen. You're like, all right. So it just puts you in a weird position.
Yeah. Was there ever a time that you thought, I wish I never had that experience?
No, not at all. No, I think it's the most incredible experience that's ever happened to me, or that could ever happen to me. I don't think there'll ever be anything that will top it. And it's hard to explain. So my very first encounter, all right, the very, very first time I ever seen a UFO, I was driving on my way to work at 6:45 in the morning, and I start passing up these trees, and we're getting to like a fog bank, which is just ironic. And it's kind of foggy out. And then I see these lights like coming over the treetops. And then I see how close it is to the treetops. I mean, like it's like right above it. And then all of a sudden I could see it was this black flying triangle. And it had some kind of orange, or not orange, but like more like a white half dome stuck up underneath it. And it looked like it had some kind of liquid light in it. I don't know how to explain it, but it looked like the light was flowing around like liquid. And then on the side of it, there were 2 red lights. And then on the other side, there was 1 red light. And I assumed that there was maybe another red light that I couldn't see, but I don't know. And it started floating over the road, and I pulled off to the side of the road, and I step out of the car, and I'm just like looking at this thing. And then all of a sudden, it kind of tilted, and it like, this is the only way I know how to describe it, Manny, is that it looked at me. It doesn't have eyes or anything, and it didn't have a front, but it was looking at me. Like we were looking at each other. Like it was like, I see you, it sees me. It was really intense. And then all of a sudden I started getting hit with every kind of emotion that you could feel in like these 1 second intervals. Like I was happy, and then I was sad, and then I was afraid, and then I was embarrassed, and then I was ashamed. Like I was getting hit with emotions that you have, but that didn't count for that kind of situation. Like right. It didn't make any sense to me. Like I was like, and they were coming in these weird intervals until the last emotion I was left with was love. And I loved it so much that when it started to float away, I wanted to cry. I felt like my girlfriend was breaking up with me or something. And honestly, if I could have, I would have chased after it, but it was floating over like, fields and stuff. So there was no road. So there was no way I could, follow it. And I mean, like I wanted to cry so bad. Like I felt like it was leaving me. And then I sat in my car for about a half an hour, just totally shook. I didn't know what to do. Like I couldn't drive. My hands were shaking. I wasn't afraid. I was just shook. Like I was just so like, I was just not prepared to see something like that or to feel something like that. And so, but the thing is that after it left, I really felt like I knew that it wasn't forever, that I would see it again, and that it would, that it would come back for some reason. And so there was, I don't know what it did. I don't know if it was myself having these emotions or if it was this craft that was producing these feelings in me. I have no idea, but the feelings were there. It really happened. And it basically just changed, the whole outlook on everything. So it's worth it in the end. And you kind of like, you can like fall head over heels for them, I guess, like they can take over your whole life really. And it doesn't really, there's no true regrets. I mean, you can't regret ever being in love with somebody, right? That's what it feels like.
Right. It's just something that you experience, and it's a personal experience, and it can be so overwhelming.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So altogether, how many experiences or UFO sightings have you had over the years?
Oh, man, I've had so many UFOs. I mean, I've probably had over 100. But I'm like, when it comes to like incredibly close encounters, I've probably had, over a dozen, so not like, not like hundreds or anything, but like I've had they haven't left, and they just show up like periodically, but it's how close and the proximity that they get to me is incredible. And it blows my mind. And it's so much, it's such a big deal that like when I meet a girl, I have to explain to her what happens to me, so they're not freaked out, because I had other girls like freak out on me and stuff like that. And thank God my fiance now, she believed me. She's like, well, she didn't believe me, but she was like accepting of it. And then she started seeing them too, because she would come out with me. And then really? So she started having her own experiences. And, then she was, it did the same thing that happened to her, happened to her, that she started, going off the deep end, and I had to pull her back from it.
Yeah, you had to reel her back in.
Yeah, because she was going off the deep end too. She'd be sitting out there filming Jupiter for hours all night and stuff like that. I'm like, baby, it's just Jupiter. So.
Now, some of these experiences were really big for you because you've even tattooed some of these on you.
Oh yeah, and that was like it affected me so much that I wanted the world to know. Like, I didn't ever want to hide it, and I thought, I want it to be seen where everyone would see it, and there's no denying it. Like, if you have a tattoo on your arm, you're wearing a shirt, well, you have to lift your shirt up to show somebody. So I got it tattooed on my neck. And one of the very first crafts I seen, a flying delta, is tattooed directly on my throat. Then I have a crop circle on the side of my neck, which I don't believe in, but and then I have a gray alien tattoo on the other side of my neck. So they really mean a lot. Even if I've never seen a gray alien, I don't even know if they exist or not. I don't know what's inside a UFO. I don't know if it's an alien or not. I have no clue. But there's something in it. But since everyone else is into, like, says, gray aliens and stuff, so I put him on there. I think that's, I'm like, all right, just because I represent it. And the crop circle, the symbol, I don't know why I came across it on something, and I thought it really felt like I was like, this is important, and I didn't know why. And I certainly don't believe in the crop circle theory. I think they are all man-made. But something about the symbol, I'm like, okay, so I had to get it on there. So, and it's just a way to represent it. So I would never be able to deny it. And see, that's a problem. Like I said, I was a skeptic, a hardcore skeptic. And so by doing that, it let me know that there's no way I could ever try to slip back and deny it to myself and say that, no, it's never happened, or, and start denying it and, and trying to avoid the situation. Just that means it's on me for life, and that's what it's going to be forever. And, and I'm not worried that I'll ever go back. I know the truth, and that's where I have to stick with now. So.
Yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, you have an amazing story. And the fact that you have these tattoos on you, not only does it make it personal, but it really does show that was a real fundamental experience for you. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, that's why I was drawn to your YouTube channel. It's things like that, basically. But, we have together, I have found out that we have a couple of YouTubers that we really don't like the way they do things. And those two individuals are Third Phase of Moon and Secure Team 10.
Oh, man. Don't get me started on them. You know my channel, man.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not the most politest. I don't tread softly. There's no eggshells with me. Okay. I just pick up an egg and I kick it. I don't care.
Right.
And I say it like it is. And I'm angry about it. And I let them have it. Those guys are destroying ufology. They're not helping ufology. They destroy it. They destroy our credibility. They're a joke. That's what they are, man. They're clowns. And so that's why I'm going to make them into a joke, because that's what they are. They're nothing more than charlatans. And we've got people in the UFO community. If you believe in ufology, if you believe in UFOs, if you know they are real and you want to do something, you've got to stand up and fight back against it. Just being quiet doesn't help. Going and watching their videos doesn't help. Subscribing, whatever, even if you're trying to debunk their channels, it doesn't help. I don't watch any of their crap because it's crap. It's no good for the community. I just leave it alone. And I mean, I will go and debunk it, as I make my rounds, debunking all the hoaxers. But it's like, I try to avoid it altogether because it's a joke. It doesn't represent the real UFO community. It doesn't represent us and the truth. It is nothing more than lies made up to make money. That's 100% what it is.
Yeah, I agree with you with that. And it was I can actually pinpoint, because early on, I had subscribed to both channels.
Me too.
And I can tell you the episode on each one where I was like, that's it, I've had it. I can't do it anymore. Yeah, so Third Phase of Moon, there was one episode when he started to put himself into the videos, and he went out to some pier or something like that, and he was going to stand out there with someone to call down a UFO in the middle of daylight, and he filmed it.
Robert Bingham.
Yes.
Oh, God.
And I was like, no, you've got to be kidding me. So at that point, I was like, "Yep, you're done. I've had it with you."
Balloon summoners, man. Those are another group of supposed ufologists. I mean, those are early on in my videos of debunking of people say like, oh, you know, you attack a security antenna, third phase of moon a lot. That ain't nothing compared to what I was doing to these balloon summoners. These guys drove me crazy. And all my early videos when I first started are just like balloon videos of me just going off on these guys. Man, these guys drive me nuts. And Robert Bingham is the worst of the worst. I mean, there's something's up with this guy. I mean, he's literally, will film a balloon, says happy birthday, has a tether hanging from it. And he's like, that's UFO. It's terrible. It's really insanity, man. It's just so, oh God, it's so frustrating.
Yeah, then there was one episode with Security Team 10. Old Tyler was trying to say that one of his viewers submitted a video to him, and 2 days later, they were visited by the MIB. Oh, it was like, are you serious? So you're not going to tell us, not only you're not going to tell us what video it was, but you're just going to basically just make this crazy claim and then just leave it at that. I was like, yeah, okay. I even emailed him, actually. Went to his Facebook and said, I really want to talk to you because that claim was just, it was out there. And I didn't hear back, so.
Oh, of course not. He never responds to his critics or anything like that. And you want to know what's really sad, and people, say this, or they don't realize this. They're like, they get sent these videos. They get sent the videos. They put the videos out there to for you to decide. Guess what? That's a classic line of a hoaxer. On my channel, you don't get to decide anything. Okay? I'm telling you what to think because I'm the one doing the research. It's like,
exactly.
What do you think? What do you think the point of a researcher is? It's not the point of a researcher is not to go out there and say, "Hey, here you go. Tell me what you think." The researcher is supposed to tell the people what they think and say, "Listen, this is what I believe. Blah blah blah. This is the supporting evidence for it, or this is against it." That's what it's supposed to be about. Not like, "Oh, well, you guys decide" and stuff like that. That's a classic line of a hoaxer. And anytime you hear that stuff, you just know that they're just throwing stuff out there. Now, this doesn't mean that I have videos where I'm like, oh yeah, this is, you guys decide what it is. I'll be like, tell me what you guys think. This is what I think, but I'm not sure because of lack of detail or lack of whatever. And so there are times like that. But when they're sitting there saying, oh yeah, it's for you guys to decide, it's a classic line of a hoaxer. And even though, like Tyler from Security Team doesn't make as many hoax videos as like Third Phase of Moon does. His very first video, and I don't know if a lot of people don't know this because he removed it, but his very first video was him pretending to be some scientist guy, and he used a voice changer and stuff like that, which he ended up later on doing in his channel, where he got busted doing it, playing Ken the Astronomer or whatever. But a lot of people don't know that he actually did that a couple times, throughout his whole channel. And his very first video, was in fact a completely made up story, he's like going off about aliens and the Illuminati and all this other crap. And, he took that off though once, some friends of mine were mentioning it, and, it was starting to get more hits and stuff after his channel was already big. So he's like, I got to get rid of this and, hide the evidence.
This clickbaiting is getting crazy.
Oh, I know. It's funny because I love to do that. Like, I will put clickbait titles and stuff, and then I will actually put, like, in the title, this is clickbait, just to see if it works. And it does. It's just so ridiculous. Yeah. I'll do it to videos I'll put, like, a thumbnail and a title to a video that has nothing to do with it. Just because it's like, I'll be like, yeah, clickbait. Oh, you shouldn't have clicked on it. See? It's just to try to teach people that this is what's happening,
Exactly. And the last person that I have issues with is Scotty Waring.
Oh, my God. Oh, God. He was my very first video. The very first debunked video I ever made on my channel on UFO Proof was about Scotty Waring. And that guy drives me just, oh, my God. I just want to headbutt him, man. The guy drives me crazy. And it's funny because he's in so many tabloid, publications and stuff online,
Yes.
that it's mind blowing how, the attention that he gets from, looking at a rock. He's like, yeah, see that rock? Yeah, that's a king of Mars. You're like, what, dude? It's a rock, man. No, it's this. It's like, just because something looks like something doesn't mean it is that thing. It's just like, are you serious? Just, because it looks like it. It's like, dude, it's just a rock, man. And he does it with everything. He even claimed to find the missing Malaysia plane from using Google Earth. And oh my God, man, it's just so, it's so
terrible.
aggravating. Yeah, it is. He's probably the worst of them all, even though I don't think he's purposely hoaxing. Like he's not doing it to make money. He believes what he sees. He definitely has some kind of hardcore form of pareidolia, and where it's a disorder where you see faces and everything.
Right.
And
Right.
he definitely has that. So I got to give him that he believes what he's seeing. But I believe he is a moron, and he's destroying the UFO community by putting out this crap out there with no way to. Oh, and not only that, I mean, he definitely lies too, because he claims to be an astrobiologist. He's not an astrobiologist, all right? He's a fruitcake, man, and he's just destroying our community.
Yeah, the one thing I want to touch on too is that you mentioned that a lot of the media is kind of just eating up, especially Security Team 10 and the way Scotty Waring work together.
Oh yeah,
because like the UK Sun and all those guys, they're constantly publishing their material.
Oh yeah, they love it. I mean, any kind of crap out there. That's the thing. When you are focusing, when your demographic that you're focusing on are people who just want to hear a cool story, or they're not focusing on the world of physics. They're not focusing on the people who are interested in science or mathematics. They're focused on people who are interested in wrestling. You get what I'm saying? They're like, their demographic is a different kind of people, and that's who they post. That's what they put their stuff out to. So those people are like, oh yeah, they just eat it up. They're like, yeah, we love it. Give me more. I can't get enough of it. And it's just the most ridiculous. I mean, I was just today talking about this character, John Mooner, who claimed that he was. There's a satellite image on Google Earth of him being abducted by aliens, where he punched the alien, trying to punch it in the face. Yeah. I mean, this guy is lunatic, and they post his story. I've seen his story on several different tabloids. Like, they're like, oh yeah, here you go. I'm like, what idiot looks at that and says, yeah, that's a alien punching a dude in the face. It's like, it's just a green blob of some bushes. But this crazy guy's like, oh yeah, this alien, I was fighting him off, but he subdued me somehow. It's like, Jesus, man, they put this crap out there. And I don't know if they're doing it because it's, like that story, I don't know if they did it because they thought it was funny, or if they were like, yeah, this is like legitimate UFO research. But it is most certainly not. It's a disgrace. It's a joke. It's laughable. And it needs to, piss off, man, because it needs to stay out of the UFO community.
Yeah, definitely. It really is hiding the whole idea behind ufology and what it really should be.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a reality to UFOs. They absolutely exist. I don't know what they are. I don't know where they're from. I don't claim to know. But if we can't get people to try to actually find the truth, that what's even the point of having these hoax videos when you're sitting there saying, oh, we're looking for the truth, while you're putting out lies. Right. Do they think that it's helping the community? Do they think it's going to actually find the truth? That's not doing anything for us except hurting us, and then making the people who have real experiences feel even worse. I mean, it really upsets me. It really hurts that's what, I can't go and tell people about my experience, or that, I look like a fruitcake, that's just, it's very, very upsetting, and we've got to stand up and fight back against this crap. And, we got to make our voices heard. And what we need to do? We need to get on to those tabloids and beg, hey, to do stories on something that's realistic, or something that's real, even if it doesn't have the coolest sounding story. Right. And it's like, the fact that they exist is the most incredible story of the 20th century. I mean, It's like the biggest story in humankind is that we are not alone. If the question is answered, we are not alone in the universe. And they ignore that and look for the sensation and stuff. It's like there's already sensation right there. It's not from Earth, whatever it is, who knows? This is incredible. And so they don't realize how, awesome the story is without all the fakery.
Yeah, there's got to be a way to, battle these guys on their own grounds. You know what I mean?
Something has to happen. And I'm hoping what I would like to see, and to be honest, what I would like to see is I would like to see them join us in telling the truth. Join us and say, hey, Tyler, Secure Team 10, you got 800,000 subscribers. Use that platform and tell the truth and join us and fight for the truth. And I mean, like the real truth. You don't need to make up lies about it because it's already incredible. So exactly. Making up hoaxes and stuff, it doesn't do anything for us. So it's like, even though I don't want hoaxes or anything, I don't want to stop them from investigating UFOs or anything. I want them to join us in telling the truth and use that platform. Use your huge subscriber numbers to share the truth with people, because that's all we want. That's what we're looking for on this side. And on their side, they're looking for the easy buck. It's like, you're still going to get paid, so just tell the truth,
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, once you hit that million point, you're going to get your money.
No matter what.
So let's make it real.
You can put out any video you want and you're still going to get hundreds of thousands of views. So, hey, why not just tell the truth and put out the truth every time and support the scientific investigation of this phenomenon? Why not do that? It's like, you're still going to get your money. It's like, it's either because you just want the money and you don't care, or you want it, or you're super greedy, you want as much as you can get, or you're crazy and you shouldn't be in the UFO world to begin with. That's what it comes down to. It's either one of those. Because other than that, I don't understand why they would not support and actually fight for what they're saying, which is, that they want the truth. So
I got a question for you.
What's up, buddy?
So on February 24th to the 25th was the 75th anniversary of the Battle of Los Angeles.
Ah, yes.
So historically, is there a UFO incident that you really feel was not only the real deal, but really stands out to you as one that really needs to be researched over and over again?
Oh, absolutely. There's several of them. I really like the Rendlesham Forest case back in, 89 or 87 in England. That was a very interesting case. The Travis Walton experience, I believe, is another one. The Puerto Rico UFO that just got filmed by Homeland Security. I think that one is very interesting. Not the new Chile video that shows an airplane, right, having contrails. Not that one, but right. The one I'm talking about.
Yes.
Yeah, that one. That's a very, very fascinating case, and with incredible evidence to go along with it. So, I think there's a number of different cases that really, really stand out as authentic to me, and some of them don't have any evidence at all. It's simply the story to them, right. But the individual themselves has sold me on it, and they just and now I know there are people who are really good at acting and stuff like that, but then there are people who you could tell wouldn't be any good at acting, and they're just trying to tell the story as it is. And I forget the gentleman's name. I'm trying to think. But he talked about a UFO crash in Peru, and he was part of the Serious Disclosure Project, which was kind of upsetting, because that disclosure project, I feel, is another thing that just hurts the UFO community, right. Because when you put that out and you're telling, you're saying, hey, we want to fight for the truth and disclosure and stuff, and you have credible witnesses up there with you, that's great. But then when you have people like Clifford Stone, who are blatant fraud, charlatan liars, pathological liars, it doesn't do us any good. All it does is just hold us back even more, because it takes the credibility away from guys who are telling the truth. So I like what Stephen Greer, I like what he stands for, but I don't like what he's doing, and like the stuff that he says about, there are no alien abductions and they're all military. How does he know that? He doesn't have. What gives him the right to say stuff like that? And you're calling everyone else who's ever said that a liar. I've never had an abduction, but I'm not calling them a liar, man. It's like, I think it's an insult to the UFO community. I'm glad there's people standing up wanting disclosure, but not like that,
Yeah, I agree with you as far as Stephen Greer. And really, to me, I don't think that we're going to know the truth through anything like disclosure. It's going to be like folks like you that actually have the experience.
You do. We 100% agree on that. That I really, honestly, I believe that if the truth is going to come out, it's going to come out through just like one of us, an average person who, they figure out they film this or they do this or whatever, like somebody, just maybe a group of people who use the scientific method to predict where a UFO might show up, and then are able to, have it make the prediction and then use that to say, hey, we were able to do this using a scientific method. How can you deny it then? And so I think it's going to be something like that. But going through the government disclosure, they're not going to tell you anything because they don't know anything. They know as much as we do, which is just very little. We know this. They exist. And that's it. Like when you start saying, oh, I know the alien agenda. I know what the agenda is, and they all come here from Nibiru, and they want our women, and they need to steal our gold. It's like, you don't know that. Give me a break, man. Can we get serious about the subject? Can we, like for real, be serious about it? I mean, the stories are nice, they're fascinating, but God, just take it what it is. You don't need the sensationalism with every single thing. Just take the reality of the phenomenon and run with it there.
Yeah, and I want to say that you mentioned the Travis Walton case.
Oh, yeah.
And last year, I actually went to my first convention, and he was actually a speaker. He was a presenter. And when you listen to him speak, he is so genuine in what he is saying, and his experiences.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and the way that he talks about how the movie itself really didn't capture everything that he actually went through. And when he goes into those details, it is amazing.
It's so funny because I saw the movie back when it came out in theaters, and which was it was a really good movie, but I didn't hear the actual story until years and years later, until obviously I had after my UFO experiences. Right. And but when I heard his story and the truth about what happened, I was shocked that it wasn't in the movie. I was like, this was 10 times better than what the movie was. I'm like, man, why did they leave all this great stuff out? I mean, I just find that completely fascinating. It's so interesting that they didn't put the best stuff in the movie in there. And and you're 100% right. When he talks, when he says, it's like you can see he's going back in his memory and repeating what he's what he saw, what happened to him. Not that he's telling a story. He doesn't have he's not trying to put off a showmanship or anything. Has terrible showmanship, and he's a terrible speaker. He's as bad as Elon Musk.
Exactly.
He's terrible at it, but he does it.
I didn't want to say that, but you can say it because you're Kyle.
Yeah, exactly. I'll say it. He is. He's a terrible speaker, but there's a genuine truth to him. Like you can see that the man is telling the truth when he says this, he says that, and when people say, oh, he made up this story, or they all made up this story. Six grown men or whatever. I mean, he was 17 years old. How do you don't think he was not going to be interrogated to the point where he would crack? He was 17 years old when it happened. Come on, man. What kind of 17-year-old kid could you not crack?
Exactly.
Give me a break, dude. Come on. He had all kinds of investigators from around the country coming and asking him. His friends were about to get charged with murder. I mean, you're telling me he wouldn't crack? Yeah, they all would have cracked. Come on, give me a break, man. The guy's telling the truth. That's what happened to him. He's just telling you what he remembers. And so, I mean, I got to take him at his word for it. I believe his story. Yeah,
I do too. Absolutely. It is an incredible and amazing story.
You know who else I believe? Bob Lazar. And I know a lot of people have an issue with that. I don't know what it is about Bob, but I mean, I think it's his understanding of physics and the fact that he's an engineer that I really have a lot of respect for what he's saying, that, that he worked at this, a base out there. I don't know what it is about him, but I mean, he seems completely genuine to me. And, like his evidence supporting his claims, the fact that he just knew all that stuff. I mean, no one even knew about Area 51 before Bob Lazar came out and told everyone. And so it's like, he's another one I have a lot of respect for.
Yeah, I actually wrote to Stanton Friedman about Bob Lazar because there was one channel who said that they actually had another witness. They actually placed him at Area 51. And he's standing firm that he just does not believe Bob Lazar at all. So
yeah, I feel like, Stanton has kind of lightened up, like on his, his belief that, Bob Lazar is lying. And I got to be honest now, as much as respect as I have for Stanton Friedman and stuff, there's stuff that I find questionable about, like one, I think that he might have been a little bit jealous the fact that, this young 23-year-old physicist was, in these kind of programs. And, he wasn't, because he was himself a nuclear physicist. So I think there could have been a little bit of a haterade going on there. And then also, when you're going to say this about somebody else, but then you go and you put out these documents like the MJ-12 documents or whatever, I'm sorry, I wish they were true. But when someone just anonymously drops them off in some guy's mail and he goes and delivers it and see these, and it's a UFO investigator who was just happening to do a movie about UFOs because he's also a screenplay writer and stuff. I mean, there's so many things about that it's not just the documents. Forget the documents. Look at the story of how they obtained them, and look at the investigators themselves. The guy was going to make a film about UFOs, and the budget dropped out, and so all of a sudden he's able to make this kind of documentary, which is obviously a lot cheaper to make. And with these MJ-12 documents that were huge and blew up everywhere. I mean, I'm just saying that there's no supporting evidence of anything in there, and for him to be going off about Bob Lazar when his own evidence is completely lacking. And I feel Bob's evidence was far more credible because, well, he was right about this is how you get to Area 51. He knew the planes. He knew where it was. I mean, he knew everything about it, taking the buses. How would you know? And no one even knew that place existed until he came out and told everybody. So it's like, how would he even know any of that? He wouldn't. So it's just like, I think his evidence totally supports it over what Stanton Friedman, produces for some things and stuff. So I'm like, you gotta, it blows my mind, but I have a ton of respect for him. I think he's like a pop star in the world of ufology, but that doesn't mean he's always right.
Right. And that was my point, especially when I covered the story. It's like, Stanton Friedman he's like a superstar. He is the kind of the poster child for old school ufology.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Incredible ufology too. Like you take him at his word because he's a nuclear physicist, and the guy's really smart. He wrote great books. So you want to take him at his word, so that's why he's, considered such an icon in the UFO community.
Absolutely. So Kyle, what's the future of UFO Proof and Kyle when it comes to ufology? What does that look like?
The future is so bright I have to wear shades. All right. I really think that we are going to make a difference. I think that I hope that my channel and my presence in the UFO world will make people take notice of the crap that's going on and be able to sit down and say, let's try to study the reality, and let's not listen to every crazy nut job who wants to come out and make ridiculous claims. And we can take everything and take it in and then question it. And that's what's important is questioning everything that happens. I'm hoping that my channel will one day be able to compete with the bigger channels. I don't know if it ever will be, but it would be nice, just because I think there needs to be another voice out there that's on the opposite end, where, people have people want something, like they want to see the truth or whatever. That's what I'm going to give them. No crap. No, I'm not going to make up any story. I understand that people want entertainment when they watch videos, and I gladly oblige, and I'll give them entertainment, but I won't give them lies. So I'll make them laugh and stuff, like, whereas other channels, they like to, they make people afraid and they tell you lies. And my channel, I do the exact opposite. I tell you the truth and I make you laugh. And I'm hoping that that will one day be able to compete with all these other big UFO channels that will just spread lies and dominate us. And it makes us all look crazy. And if I could have anything, the only thing I want is that people really stand up for the truth. That's it. I mean, if I would give up my channel in a heartbeat if I knew that, these big channels would stop spreading the lies and start telling the truth. I would drop it in a heartbeat and wouldn't think twice about it, because that's, when it comes down to it, that's the only thing I want is to fight for the truth and to say, listen, it really happened to me. It really, really, it really happened to me. So, I mean, like, it's, forget all your money and popularity, forget all your subs and views and stuff like that. It happened to me. It really truly exists. So can't we work from there and look for the truth? I mean, looking for lies and stuff like that and listen to that crap, it makes us go backwards, and we need to just keep moving forward with it. And so we have to fight. We have to be willing to stand up for it and say, this is the truth, you guys. No more crazy stories. Just because it's a cool story. I like listening to cool stories too. That doesn't mean that you should say it. You should bring it into our world, into the UFO community. You should bring it into Hollywood. That's where it belongs, not here. This is for the truth. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's true. Everyone that watches these channels should have some kind of a healthy dose of skepticism in what they're looking at.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, Kyle, you've been an amazing guest today. Everything that I thought you'd be. Fantastic. And you can always come back if you ever want to promote something or you have something in the works you want to announce. You can come back to UFO Buster Radio and announce it. But right now, it's open mic. I don't know if you want to share any contact details with anyone, if kids want to ask questions or anything like that.
Sure. Thank you, Manny. You can find me on Facebook at Real UFO Proof. On Facebook, you can also find me at UFO Proof on Twitter, and my website is realufoproof.com or .tk, whatever's easiest for you to write. So you can go on there, and those are even though I have Facebook and I have Twitter, they're not my main things. I really don't even go on them. I'm on YouTube and my website, so you can contact me through there. And if you are into ufology and you want the truth and you want the real deal and you want a place to talk to other people like that, come to realufoproof.tk or .com. That our website there is full of people who want the truth, who are just like myself, and they will stand up for the truth and they question everything, but they're not there to put anyone down. But if you come on there saying crazy stuff, we're going to call you out on it. And that's the truth, and that's what we need in the UFO world. And if you want real UFO videos, my channel, UFO Proof, is the channel to go. We only play legitimate UFO videos, and some of the best around. I make it a point to find only the best material. And if you like to laugh, this is another thing. I put a lot of entertainment into my videos. I do a lot of comedy and stuff. I know it might seem like, oh, there's no way you can mix the two and you're probably not funny. I'm going to challenge that right now. Come to my channel and check it out and decide for yourself and see if you think it's good or not or whatever. I mean, I think it seems pretty funny. I was paid as a comedian for years. I got paid to tell jokes. So I think we can, I think it's pretty safe to say that's fairly entertaining. Just come and check it out. Don't be afraid to come say what's up. You can also contact me at one UFO for truth at gmail.com if you want to send me messages or anything like that. And for real, also, Manny, thank you for having me on your show. I really appreciate it and giving me a chance to come out and tell all your listeners, what we stand for and what has to be done in the UFO community. And hopefully they will stand up with us and join our fight for the truth. And hopefully one day I can get you to come and be on my show.
Hey, in the future, that might just happen. But you've been a wonderful guest, Kyle. And like I was kind of telling everyone that I've come across before recording the podcast, is that your show is definitely a must subscribe to. So I'm putting all the links that Kyle just mentioned in the description. So please check him out, give him a visit, subscribe, like, whatever you need to do. But you definitely want to have him on your YouTube list or your follow list on any of those mediums, social mediums that he's already on. So Kyle, thank you very much for coming in, and we hope to hear from you again in the near future.
All right. Thank you, man. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. So that was the interview, UFO Proof Kyle. Please check him out. When you look at the videos, you may not agree with everything he says. I guarantee you that some of his parodies of some of the other YouTube channels are pretty hilarious. But nonetheless, check him out. We talked about after the show, maybe one time having Manny Moonraker on UFO Proof. So keep an eye out for that in the near future. It would definitely be my honor to be on his YouTube channel. So if you want to reach out to me, you want to be on the podcast, do you have a channel you want to share, a book, research, something of value that can add to this conversation? Then reach out to me through Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Google+, UFOBusterRadio.com. And you can actually write comments from what you're listening to right now, whether it's a mobile app, through the website, on your tablet. And I actually noticed some of you listen through your TV, because I get kind of like demographics on that stuff. No, I don't know where you're at. It's not that good. But while I'm at it, I want to thank the folks from the country of Germany. And just recently, we have listeners out in Germany. Thank you for listening. And everyone else that has been listening, I thank you as always. And until next time, ciao.
Okay, UFO Buster Radio, all done. You go now. You come back tomorrow. You listen to archive. You go now. You have a nice day. Bye-bye.